One thing that I love about Warhammer is the different perspectives and the reason why the different factions fight. In this video, we're going to focus on one of the perspectives that was around during the Horus Heresy, and this perspective is a little different than the 40k counterpart. The Primarchs were typically fighting for the Emperor and his goals. His main goal, as people understood it, was to gather humanity and bring it back under his Imperium. You can have the perspective that this is a good thing. I mean, he did have a grander vision than this, but this was just his first step towards helping humankind ascend to a higher state. But if you were not part of the Imperium, you had the choice to either join or get beaten down enough that you surrender and join, and that goes only for humans. Sorry, aliens and mutants, you have to die. Some Primarchs looked up to the Emperor, and they wanted nothing more than to please him. Horus and Fulgrim come to mind. There was one Primarch, though, who hated the Emperor, and he had all the reason in the world to. Angron.
We fight for the same reasons men have always fought for. For land, for resources, for wealth, and for bodies to feed into the grinders of industry. We fight to silence anyone that dares draw breath and whisper a different opinion from ours. We fight because the Emperor wants every world in his hands. All he knows is slavery, painted in the inoffensive cloak of compliance. The very notion of freedom is a horror to him. For each time I wage war against the worlds that threaten the Imperium's advance, there comes another time when I am told to conquer peaceful worlds that wish only to be left alone. I am told to destroy whole civilizations and call it liberation. I am told to demand millions of men and women from these new worlds, to make them take up arms in the Emperor's hordes, and I am told to call this a tithe or recruitment because we are too scared of the truth. We refuse to call it slavery. I do these things, and I enjoy them, not because we are moral or right, or loving souls seeking to enlighten a dark universe, but because all I feel are the butcher's nails hammered into my brain. I serve because of this mutilation. Without it, oh well, perhaps I might be a more moral man like you claim to be. A virtuous man. Hey, perhaps I might ascend the steps of our father's palace and take the slaving bastard's head.
Angron was the only Primarch not to conquer his world. Instead of a king or a savior, he was a slave, a gladiator. Angron's Primarch power was to absorb the negative feeling and negative emotions from people. His power was to help others. Unfortunately, he refused to fight his mentor and friend in the gladiator pits, and the people that enslaved him installed the butcher's nails into his head. The butcher's nails tore the power to absorb the negative feelings and replaced it with only rage. The nails in his head demanded that he slaughter. He eventually led a rebellion against the ruling class of his culture that was known as the High Riders. His rebellion was not going to succeed, but he didn't care. Instead of being a slave, they would fight and die for freedom. To fight knowing you were going to die is brave. Unfortunately, before he could die, he was taken against his will to meet with the Emperor. All of Angron's brothers and sisters died, and he had to serve his absent father that just showed up. The Emperor wasn't a savior or a hero to him. He was just another High Rider that demanded Angron make slaves out of other free planets. Angron, at this point, was a victim.
All dead. My brothers. My sisters. I swore I'd stand with them. We would die together. I swore I'd die with my brothers and sisters in the mountains. We were free. It was our death. The death we earned. The death we wanted. We laughed and called them closer. High Rider bastards! Come and die, dogs of Desia! I am Angron of the pits, born in blood, raised in the dark, and I will die free! Come, watch me fight one last time. Is that not what you want? Is that not what you have always wanted? Come closer, you dog-blooded cowards! And then, the Emperor trapped me, banished me to the Conqueror's dark belly, teleported me up into orbit, though at the time I knew nothing of such technology. I was alone in the dark, and my brothers and sisters died here. They died without me. I swore. We all swore.
But what separates a victim from a monster? As I grew up, I was taught that bullies are mean to others because they are having a hard time at home. They have other issues going on that makes them lash out. Even though someone may have trauma in their life, it doesn't give them a pass to hurt others. You can be a victim of violence, but you're not permitted to perpetuate the cycle of violence. Here's where Angron went from a victim to a perpetrator. He demanded that his new legion had the butcher's nails implanted in their heads as well. The same affliction that took his powers he passed on to his sons. He journeyed planet to planet and viciously broke their inhabitants. He was merciless. It was no surprise he turned from the Emperor and turned traitor. I think he was even justified in doing so. But his pure rebellion against the Emperor was corrupted by chaos. Angron traded one master for another. Instead of the Emperor being his master, it became Khorne, the god of war, violence and slaughter. Before Angron could die to the butcher's nails, he was transformed into a demon. This didn't offer any more freedom. He still had the butcher's nails in his head, digging in and torturing him. He still does now, 10,000 years later. He lives only to slaughter and pass along the pain he carries. If Angron would have been a better leader and father to his legion, he would have been the purest hero in all of 40k. If he would have not bent the knee to chaos, then he would have died on the battlefield fighting his oppressors. But now he lives as a slave to Khorne, unable to die. Angron is such a tragic character within 40k, and characters like him are why I love the setting so much. If you are interested in reading about Angron and his legion, the World Eaters, I would suggest starting at The First Heretic. The First Heretic covers the Word Bearers, but the books The First Heretic, Know No Fear, and Betrayer work as a trilogy within the Horus Heresy, and Betrayer is such an amazing read. Truly, it has some of my favorite Horus Heresy moments, and the bromance, or brotherly bond between Argel Tal of the Word Bearers and Karn of the World Eaters is so cool to read about. Thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a comment and let me know if you think Angron was justified or if I'm way off. As well, I want to shout out Christopher Tester, who's a voice actor, the Angron clips that I used are from him. So I will leave a video of his where I got that from in the description of this. If you want the full quotes that he read, you'll have to go get them from him. But anyways, thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day.